This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Did Alina Habba lie to a federal judge about not feeling well and potentially contracting COVID in order to delay the E Jean Carroll case, Donald Trump's testimony, until after the New Hampshire primary? Did she, in other words, did she double down once she learned that one of the jurors, an anonymous juror number 3, felt unwell, that the judge had asked and required that juror to take a COVID test, and then sensing an opportunity, did Alina Habba then report that she had been exposed to COVID because she dined with her parents who tested for COVID and that she had some sort of fever while she sat next to Donald Trump and her partner, Mike Medallo, without a mask, and Donald Trump didn't seem too concerned about sitting next to somebody with COVID either. All I know is what the result was, and then we can backtrack it and connect the dots. The result was that the jury trial of E Jean Carroll, seeking over $12 million in punitive damages and more, related to Donald Trump not only having raped her, which has been determined by a federal judge and by a jury this past summer, but that he defamed her and continues to defame her in a virulent attack and campaign against her to basically snuff her out as a person and as a credible individual. He's daily attacking E Jean Carroll while he was in New Hampshire, while he was in the courtroom. It became newly created evidence that was used against him by the plaintiffs because Donald Trump doesn't care. Because this is just a toll that he's paying on the road to his campaign. Right? He's going to pay whatever the 11, 12, 15, 20, $100 million that comes out by the E Jean Carroll jury, and they will come out against Donald Trump. He'll just pay it with other people's money, with the money that he's separated from his donors and his the gullible that support him, and states like Florida that want to just give him $5 million for his litigation fund just from taxpayer dollars and the like. But the question here on this hot take is, did Alina Habba lie to a federal judge? And when the trial resumes, presumably on Thursday, in New York, is the federal judge going to have a conversation on the record with Alina Habba about her appearance? Now, if I know the lawyer for E Jean Carroll, and I do, Robbie Kaplan, she's appeared on the MeidasTouch network, and particularly on Legal AF before. We interviewed her a year ago about this case and other things. If I know her, she's writing or has already written a letter brief to the judge pointing out exactly what we just saw, which is that Alina Habba appeared to be completely recovered from any COVID exposure and was out campaigning with Donald Trump without a mask next to Donald Trump, who's pounding the flesh and shaking hands, again, potentially exposing all of his, if true, exposing his people that support him to COVID. Or was it all just a lie? Ron Filipowski, who's our editor-in-chief on the MeidasTouch network, he posited exactly that, and it's been picked up by Newsweek magazine. We'll put that up in a minute. And there, Ron said, she basically called her out and said she lied. She lied to a federal judge. I think the question that the judge has to get to the bottom of is, has he been had by a lying Donald Trump and Alina Habba? And the judge already feels that Donald Trump has little, if any, credibility. Another judge in the same town, in the state court, Judge Engoron, has already ruled that Donald Trump under oath is not truthful, can't be relied upon. And so would anybody watching this hot take believe it and put it past Alina Habba to try to gain some sort of political advantage for her client, who she's also the legal director and spokesperson for, not only a trial lawyer by day, but a whatever by night with Donald Trump, that put it past Alina Habba to try to delay Donald Trump taking the stand and having to testify about a rape and defamation on the day before the New Hampshire primary? I mean, really? That goes without saying. I'd be shocked if she didn't do that, to be honest, to be fair. And I think the court needs to get to the bottom of whether he was told the truth by Alina Habba. What my thought experiment here is that Alina Habba, sensing an opportunity, and as a very a person who is opportunistic, especially on behalf of her fearless leader and boss and more Donald Trump, that she would sense that since juror number 3 may have been exposed to COVID and the judge was inclined to roll off the trial a day, let's roll it off a couple of days so that she can attend and campaign for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump doesn't have to worry about testimony. And so she may be sensing that the opportunity to have the juror removed and have the alternate juror step in was on the judge's mind. Like, when you reach a point where a juror can't continue, a sick juror is generally replaced by an alternate juror. There's at least 2 alternate jurors who are there. They don't know they're alternate jurors. That's the beauty of jury practice and jury work. Jurors don't know they're alternates until the group that is the final jury goes into the room to deliberate, and then they're given their certificate and pat on the back and their per diem for the day, their lunch money for the day, and sent on their patriotic way. That's how it works. So when there's a sick juror, and I've been involved with a sick juror, you replace them. The fact that the judge is delaying the replacement of the sick juror with the other juror at the very end of trial, it's not like he has to worry about a long trial and not burning through the alternates, because, like, let's say in a 2, 3, 4, 6, 8-month trial, lots of things can happen, as you can imagine, in people's lives. And you got to not just replace jurors here and there, stepping in and stepping out. You can't, because somebody got sick. You need to sort of wait it out because you got a long jury process. You don't have a long jury process with E Jean Carroll. You have a short jury process, a short trial process. It ends this week. It's a 5-day trial tops. So you don't have to worry. The judge doesn't have to worry about preserving the amount of the alternate jurors. So I'm trying to guess that he was probably leaning and fearing that he was leaning towards just replacing the juror and going forward before the New Hampshire election with the trial, forcing Donald Trump to testify on Monday before the Tuesday election. That's when Alina Habba stepped in and doubled down on this. Well, I'm not feeling well either, Judge, as long as we're raising the topic of how people are feeling. I was exposed to COVID. My parents, I have a fever today. Again, no mask, sitting next to Donald Trump. Next day in New Hampshire, woohoo, we won, banging the tambourine for Donald Trump, as we saw in the clip. And so now it sort of reinforces my theory and Ron's theory that she lied to the federal judge because she sensed that he was going to replace the sick juror with the alternate juror and go forward and force her guy to testify. And then she could have to look Donald Trump in the eye and say, sorry, boss, I tried, but you're testifying before the New Hampshire primary. That's not a conversation that obviously Alina Habba wanted to have with Donald Trump. But then nothing about their interaction indicated that she really was sick or exposed. No masks in New Hampshire, yelling, lots of things coming out of their mouth, hitting all of the people that are his followers in the front row or beyond. That indicates to me that she never believed that she was sick and that she lied to a federal judge. But it's up to the federal judge and the lawyers that are involved in the case to bring it to the court's attention. We'll follow the filings in the E Jean Carroll case during this momentary darkness in the case as the case resumes on Thursday, with or without juror number 3. Because if juror number 3 is still sick, as I've said in prior hot takes and on Legal AF, that podcast at the intersection of law, politics, and justice on the MeidasTouch network, as I've said, they're just going to replace the juror and go forward. They're not going to keep waiting for juror number 3 to recover. And obviously, what's her name? Alina Habba took a quick trip to Lourdes and has been completely cured of her ailment. And she's fine. And Mike Medallo, her co-counsel, doesn't seem to have, missed the beat. This trial is going forward on Thursday with Donald Trump testifying. And then the jury's going to get this trial by Friday. And we're going to get a verdict, either probably based on the velocity at which the last jury decided in May against Donald Trump. It'll be Friday. We'll get a ruling before they go home. After lunch, jurors, we just explained juries from my own experience as a trial lawyer. Juries get their lunch. They want their lunch. Judge instructs them about the law, gives them the jury instructions, sends them into their deliberation room. Remember, there's closing arguments that'll happen first. That'll take up a lot of Friday. And then they get lunch. Who got the tuna salad? Who got the chicken wrap? Right? Who got today's special? With the federal marshals because they're anonymous, they're being protected. And then they sit down, they start talking about voting for punitive damages and the amount. That could be as early as Friday afternoon. Could it roll over to Monday? Sure. Depends on when this, the actual testimony starts on Thursday. We'll follow it. Follow us. Only one place. Don't change that dial. You're on MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then on audio podcast platforms of your choice. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.